Well, good morning. Today is Thursday the 17th, and today we are in the book of Proverbs. We're in Proverbs chapter 17. Today we're going to be looking at verses 1 through 9, and I'll just begin reading. Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. A servant who deals wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully, and will share the inheritance as one of the brothers. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests the hearts. An evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar gives ear to a mischievous tongue. Verse 5, whoever mocks the poor insults his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. Grandchildren are the crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. Fine speech is not becoming to a fool, still less is false speech to a prince. A bribe is like a magic stone in the eyes of the one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he prospers. And whoever covers an offense seeks love. But he who repeats a matter separates close friends. In these proverbs, we basically see two contrasting ideas. You have the idea of the somebody who causes strife, and the idea of quietness or harmony in our life. Verse 1, he says, stale bread is in a quiet house is better than feasting where there is strife or fighting. In verse 2, he says it's better to be a wise servant who accepts instruction than a disgraceful son who causes shame. Verse 4, he talks about an evildoer, somebody who deliberately causes harm, and the fact that a liar savors gossip and talks of schemes that feeds the fire of wickedness. He talks about how wicked it is to mock the poor because it's an insult to their maker. And that those who are glad when somebody suffers will not go unpunished. I really like verse 6. Grandchildren are a crown of the aged. Amen. Amen to that. Then it says the glory of children is their fathers. And I think there's something to glean from that. Now, it's not unusual for children to brag about their father. My dad's bigger than your dad. My dad's more successful than your dad. I mean, just silly stuff. But the point of the matter is that when a father is a good father figure, his children admire him. And that points to a very terrible situation in our society. And I think not just our society, but many cultures around the world. That is the lack of good father figures. How many broken homes? How many families where the father is either absent altogether or is married to his work to the point where he neglects quality time with his children? And how many times I've met with families that are just struggling spiritually because the father is not at all involved with spiritual life of his family. He's, it's the wife that takes the children to the church, and the dad stays home and mows the grass or whatever because that's his day off. And I think it just implies that there's a significant that the devil has made a significant effort to destroy the family. I mean, if you think about it, what's the first thing that God instituted after he was finished with the creation? It says he looked and he saw that it was not good that man should be alone. So he made a helper meet for him. He made him a helper. He made Eve. Jesus, God himself performed the first marriage. And the family was born. And I think the importance of family, the concept of family, originates with God. And if you've been married any length of time, you know that marriage is always under attack. Marriage takes a great deal of commitment and hard work. But just this verse made me think of that, verse 6. The glory of children is their fathers. And how many homes are without a father figure? It's just heartbreaking. And quite honestly, it's been a disaster for our nation and for any family that is fatherless it's in for a rough time. And then verse 7 talks about speech, and excellent speech doesn't belong in the mouth of a fool any more than lying belongs in the mouth of a prince. It's just not befitting. In verse 8, he says, basically, let me put it this way: the word present or bribe here, it's condemned as evil. Bribery is evil. But the fact of the matter is that, unfortunately, bribery often works. The one who grants it typically gets what he wants. So we have to be careful. We have to be prudent and understand how evil it is. And then verse 9, a better way to live is to be motivated by love rather than making it known and causing a rift between friends. Verse 9 paints a picture that if we truly care about others, we'll be interested in mending relationships rather than causing a rift in friendships. Proverbs are always short and pithy and pointed. And sometimes, depending on what's going on in your life, you might read a proverb and it doesn't really apply to me right now. Other times you'll read it and it's boom, right to the heart of what you're dealing with. But as we just meditate on these things, meditate on each one. What is the message here? And is it something that applies to where I'm at right now in my life, or a situation in my life? And it's important. If you, here's an example. I already spoke a great deal about there in verse 6 about the glory of their fathers, children. A glory of children is their fathers. What are you doing to minister to other fathers, or to be the best father you can be? Are you a father that your children would be proud of? Are you a father that, what's the greatest? I read somewhere, and I can't remember who wrote this, but it was a quote for somebody, and I agreed with it. It said basically, the greatest gift a father can give to his children is to love their mother. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Especially if the children are girls. The way that a father treats his wife is what a girl would look to when she's dating and in a relationship. When she gets older, she's going to understand and know that I want a man who treats me the way that my daddy treated my mama. And so many other important aspects of our relationship with our wife. If you have boys, teach your boys how to treat their spouse, how to treat their wife. That's how they're going to learn. That's how they're going to know what a man looks like and how a man should treat a woman. So much is riding on the example of a father to his children. So be that kind of example. Mentor other young men. It's sad. It's sad when you have so many people in the world who never had the example of a father, a good father. It's sad. So be praying about how God could use you to be an influence. And remember to be a good influence on your children and grandchildren. Amen. That's all I have for today. Hope you have a great day. Today's the last day of Vacation Bible School. Been a great week, been a busy week, tiring week, but always very rewarding. We had 5 young people that put their faith in Jesus last night, and that's what it's all about. Amen. Hope you have a great day, and we will see you again tomorrow.